So I want to talk about something that the front office has clearly not talked about, and the fact that the following thing that I'm going to talk about is something that the front office have clearly covered up and don't want to tell to their fans. But it's obvious that we know what's going on right now because I have found this out on Reddit, and I also find this out yesterday when I was talking to someone that was part of the Ultras on the Quakes Discord page, and we were talking about how the front office was harassing the Ultras, and he even showed like one incident a couple of weeks ago where the front office actually called the SJPD, the San Jose Police Department, to come to their stadium where it looks like one of the Ultras set off a smoke bomb. And this is after where the front office have already gave permission to the Ultras that, you know, you can light up flares or light up pyro, or you can use smoke or anything outside of the stadium, but inside the stadium you are not allowed to do that. There's a reason why when you look on the Quakes website on their stadium policy where it says that incendiary device is not allowed in the stadium. And I also think that this is kind of like a league-wide policy, although I know that in terms of incendiary device there is an exception where if you let off smoke during the game, that of course is allowed, because you have seen before where around the league, whenever a team scores a goal, you always see like smoke letting out. That's one thing that it is kind of the exception in terms of an incendiary device. And actually, I don't think that actually counts as an incendiary device, because that smoke is actually coming out of a machine and it's not really coming out like, let's say, a flare or a pyro that you usually see when people let off smoke in the stadium. But you know, the other thing that we were also talking about, and this was actually after the game, is that he was once again very upset with the front office harassing the Ultras again. Now, originally, I don't know what happened this time that made the Ultra very pissed off at the front office again, until I realized when I look on their Twitter page, they were talking about how as they were walking out of the stadium and as they were about to get on the bus, there was about 8 to 10 police officers, including a chief police officer that was there to just monitor the Ultras and make sure they don't just go crazy after a victory, and that they want to make sure that they don't cause a lot of trouble. Now, I understand that the Ultras and the front office, there's been a very fragile relationship between the front office and the Ultras, and in the past couple of years it seemed like that relationship has really turned into a very toxic relationship. Consider how many times the front office has to ban the Ultra because of just violating stadium rules and violating the stadium behavior rules that the team of course sets. And you know, the Ultras have also at times been protesting to the front office doing game, and I remember there was even one incident where they hold up a banner just kind of like directly protesting to the front office of the fact that they are just completely mistreating them. And you know, the whole situation where the police are kind of escorting them out of the stadium and getting on the bus, that's not the only time that has happened. It actually has happened a lot of time whenever like the Ultras, they're tailgating before the game. There's police officer just kind of like monitoring them and just making sure that everything is fine. And whenever they march to the stadium, there's usually a couple of officers just monitoring, make sure that, you know, they're not misbehaving or anything like that. And you know, I understand that you see that at times in Europe with some of the Ultras, where if you go on YouTube and you watch like European Ultra marching to the stadium, you see that they are police officer that is there to just monitor to make sure nothing bad is happening. But the thing is, you know, I think for the Ultras, I know that the Ultras are kind of like promoting kind of a hardcore Eastern European kind of type of way to support this club. But to be fair, when I look at how the Ultra kind of their behavior and how the Ultras are kind of like doing, I don't think that's kind of like Eastern European kind of hardcore kind of ultras thing. And this is not to discredit the ultras and saying that they're basically just kind of like saying they're kind of just bragging of the fact that they're trying to do kind of Eastern European style of ultraing, even though they're technically not. But they're not. They're doing this because, you know, if they try to do what the ultras in Eastern Europe would do, the front office obviously will shut them down because of the fact that they're always doing like pyro shows in the stadium and even like marching to the stadium and stuff like that. And I think that when you look at around the league, where I think, for example, when you look at the Seattle Sounders with their supporter group, and you know how their supporter group usually march to the stadium at beginning of the game, I don't think at one time that I have seen there's any police officer that is during the match and monitoring them to go to the stadium. And obviously I never have witnessed in person. I only know this because I watched YouTube video where people, of course, they took footage of the supporter group for the Sounders marching to CenturyLink Field, and that I don't see any police officer kind of there. And instead, I kind of feel like that march to the match seems a very kind of family-friendly kind of type of march. And the other incident that I also will get, and the other example that I also get, is that, you know, I remember when the 3252 last year, when they invade Avaya Stadium, and I see them like getting off the bus and as they go to the stadium. Now, I'm not sure if this is absolutely accurate, but I don't think I also saw any police officer kind of like just monitoring them just to see that they don't cause a lot of trouble. And we know that the 3252, you know, we've seen before that LAFC fans and their supporters, sometimes they do kind of really bad things. I mean, I talk about how last year in the playoffs, how they were throwing balls and throwing kind of toilet paper. Like, they're even more extreme than what I see the San Jose Ultra do. I don't think I ever seen the San Jose Ultras, whenever an opponent score a goal, that they would just throw balls and throw toilet paper onto the field because they're upset. Now, I have seen them brawl in the stands a couple of time, and sometimes it's just kind of like each other kind of fighting each other. It's not like opponent fans kind of fighting each other, but I don't think that they were. I feel like the 3252 was more extreme than what the Ultras did. And the fact that the team, when the 3252 marched to the stadium, and the team know that they are kind of a bit of a hostile group and a little bit more hostile than what the San Jose Ultra did, and that they don't bother to like put police officer to monitor them, but they do it for the home team. It's so what I'm basically saying is they would put police officer escorting the Ultra, which is the home team, but they don't use police officer and escorting the away team and the away support to the stadium. Yeah, that does not make any sense. And in many ways, it should be the other way around, where you should be putting police officer escorting the away fans, because they might be a little bit more hostile than like the home fans, and make sure that they are going to be safely get into the stadium. Because with the away fans, they usually never been into the stadium. They're not as familiar with the surrounding as the home fans, that is. So yeah, that's something that I find it very shocking. And, you know, I don't know if this is going to change, and whether or not if the front office is going to do anything. I don't really think the front office is going to do anything. In many ways, I think the front office will just continue kind of harassing the Ultras and just continue to try to make them kind of eventually disband and dissolve, which I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the Ultras will disband. Like, they've been with the club for 16 years, and they've been bringing the best atmosphere. They've been bringing the best atmosphere that they've been bringing the best atmosphere that we ever had for the last 16 years, and there's just no way that they have been disbanded. Like, there's no more hardcore and passionate supporter group of our team that is as hardcore as what the San Jose Ultras is. And I really hope that, you know, eventually the front office will understand the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, even though the Ultras sometimes they cause a little bit havoc, that's just how the Ultras is. I mean, every league around the world and every ultras around the world will eventually cause some trouble, but they're not there to just kind of hurt anybody. And I don't think there's even any incident where the ultras have just hurt any of the fans from the Quakes, or just harass any fans that is also a Quakes fan, or even like harass like away fans that are not like completely hardcore. So yeah, I feel like the front office, I'm just hoping the front office eventually will understand the fact that, you know, the Ultras is not a extreme kind of group where it's going to cause trouble on the field. And if anything, they're just promoting, like they're just trying to support their team, and they're doing it with a kind of hardcore and passionate way. And they also create at least some sort of atmosphere at Avaya Stadium. I mean, Avaya Stadium, it certainly has one of the worst atmosphere that I have seen in MLS ground. Like I have watched TV, and you know, last year when I went down to Bank of California Stadium to watch LAFC play, like I can hear how much the atmosphere was 10 times or even 100 times better than what Avaya Stadium is. And I see the 3252 kind of chanting every time. It's just like, I just wish that in some way the Quakes would eventually kind of have that support. And obviously I don't think that's gonna ever happen, because, you know, a lot of Quakes fans tends to be more down to earth, and they're not like kind of like hardcore kind of supporter as some of the ultras is. So yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, all I'm saying is that I feel like the front office, they need to finally understand that the ultras are not there to cause trouble, and all they do there is just to create some passion and supporting their club, whether if the club is at the lowest point of their history or they're at the highest point of their history. They're just there to support the club, and you shouldn't have to be overly kind of protective the fact that you think that they're gonna cause like trouble and stuff like that. But that being said, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this whole situation? If you're part of the ultras, you know, you can obviously express your frustration down in the comment section about this whole situation. And again, this whole thing that I've been talking about, the whole topic that I've been talking about, has not been mentioned in the front office. The front office has clearly covered this up and just not want us fans to see that. So yeah, either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.